What if I told you that one of the biggest factors in your journey to Mexican residency, the application, it isn't your income, your investments, or even your paperwork? It may just be the consulate that you choose. We've been seeing reports from residency experts that people that look identical on paper with the same financial statements and financial background are having different results depending on the consulate that they choose. So that's what we're talking about today, why the consulate you choose may be the most important decision in your Mexican residency and make all the difference between getting approved or denied. Hi, I'm Lynn.
I'm Joyce.
And welcome to our channel,
GenX Quench,
where we talk about all things in this pre-retirement life. Thank you for joining us. Happy to have you. So let's talk about it. Why the Mexican consulate that you choose may be one of the most important decisions in you getting approved or denied for your Mexican residency. Jace?
Well, there are a couple of assumptions people make that can be misleading. They will assume that there's one set of rules that all the consulates follow. They're followed exactly the same way, and that if you qualify on paper, you're good to go. That could be the furthest thing from the truth. Think about it. You're dealing with individuals at individual facilities, and they apply those rules independently. So they're kind of the king of their own fiefdom. So choosing the right consulate is going to definitely be key for your success.
Yep. That sounds good. And part of that reason is that the financial requirements have changed. They're increasing. And as we have said on this channel many times, is that Mexican residency, the requirements change every year. And in most cases, they're not going down. So therefore, the income requirements that you need, they increase. The assets or the investments, if you're going that route, those numbers change and those increase. And even just once you get to Mexico, there's higher fees for I&M as far as getting the residency itself. Right. So with all of these financial changes to the rules, you may have been comfortably within that range a couple of years ago, but now you might be closer to one of the thresholds. And so because of all this, there's higher scrutiny at the consulate. So it's more dependent on, it's not just about your paperwork, it's where you fall in those ranges. And so your documentation matters more, the interpretation of your documentation matters more, and therefore, like Jice mentioned, the person sitting across from you at that consulate, that decision matters more. So in these financial ranges that are established, you can still be comfortably within that range, but if you're close to the top, if you're pushing the edge or close to the bottom, that consulate may deny you because of that. So that's something to consider as far as because of the financial changes, that impacts the consulate and those that are making decisions at the consulate.
Yeah, and people are really seeing a difference in terms of a few things. One, appointment availability. Two, wait times are getting a lot longer due to the increased popularity of folks trying to get residency in Mexico. Three, how financial evidence is reviewed. And I'll give you an example about that one. A few years back, if you were, quote unquote, your 401k, you had enough money in terms of savings and investments in there, and you just said, hey, I'm gonna use this to live off on in Mexico, a lot of consulates would have approved it. Now, again, with these more stringent reviews, they wanna see that you actually started taking money out of the 401k. So that's a total game changer in terms of some folks qualifying and others not. So again, depending upon which consulate they choose, do it at your own risk, do your homework ahead of time.
So the mistake that many applicants make is that they choose the consulate that is closest to them. Now, in a lot of cases, this is the place to start, this is the right thing, but most people don't realize that you can go to other consulates. Right. There are some that only require and are limited to people in their state, or a couple of states if they're the closest consulate and they just serve people that are residents of their state and the surrounding state. But there are quite a few consulates that you can go to wherever you live. They're not, geographic specific. Now, the reason that this is important as far as looking for those consulates is mainly in appointments. So you may have a consulate close to you, but they don't have any appointments available. The next closest consulate might have appointments available. And so I think that you have to do the due diligence of looking at the consulates across the area that you're in. And we have heard of people that have gotten on planes and traveled halfway across the country just because of availability. There's also kind of, I guess, in a sense, word on the street that some consulates are, I don't want to say maybe less strict, or they have a higher success rate. So you can get on the Facebook groups, you can look, and there's plenty of people that will tell their firsthand experiences about getting approved at XYZ consulate, or other people say, well, I got denied at XYZ consulate. So basically really do that due diligence that the consulate that is closest to you may not be the place that you need to go. For us, we were fortunate. We live in Charlotte, as you know. Raleigh is 2.5 hours away, and that is where we went, and we were approved our first time out. But we also knew that there were other consulates in the area that we kind of had our eye on, and even Jice was kind of prepared to even fly to McAllen, Texas, if Raleigh hadn't worked out. But actually then, right when we were kind of going through that phase, they changed, where I think now they only really do service Texas residents.
Yeah, Texas residents.
So definitely that is one mistake that many people is just naturally assuming that the consulate closest to them is the only option for them. But do some checking, do some looking, and especially when it comes to appointments, the appointment that might be more convenient for you might be in a consulate that is a little further away.
Yeah, so what you're going to want to do is choose your consulate strategically. And there's a couple of things you're going to want to research. Appointment availability, published financial requirements, current application procedures, the applicant experience, travel logistics, obviously cost is a factor, and processing timelines. For some, you may have to come back the next day if you get approved, or so are you prepared to stay overnight, get a hotel? Others I've heard about, particularly if you're a small business owner, like how you get your deposits and to whom the check is made out to, and the paper trail, and they want to see articles of incorporation. So if you're a business owner, definitely do your research there. Yep.
So if you are considering Mexican residency this year, don't start with the paperwork. Start with the consulate. Do your research there. Understand what the plan is to apply. Learn what offices, learn that office's processes. View their current requirements. A lot of them have like individual websites, or the rules might vary by consulate. So do the due diligence on the consulate. This whole process of Mexican residency, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes money. And so if you're spending all this time on getting your paperwork right, your income, your investments, getting those statements, do the due diligence and spend an hour or 2 hours or whatever that time takes in researching the consulate, because that might be the most important decision that you make that can make or break and really be the difference between approval or a deny.
The good news is Mexican residency is achievable. However, you've got to do your due diligence. So again, choose wisely. One of the resources we used was Getting Mexican Residency on Facebook, the original group in parentheses. So if you're interested, I would say join that. And then you can do searches on which consulates you're most intrigued by. But warning, use the information that's latest. Like if you use anything longer than 2 months, I would say it's not accurate anymore. So look for recent posts on that particular consulate.
Yeah, this whole process, I think, is very dynamic, and as far as consulates and changing and the requirements and getting the yay, getting the nay, all of that is very dynamic. So hopefully this has been helpful. Just want to put another plug that Jice and I are offering consultations to help people with these journeys to residency, whether it's Mexico or Panama or wherever you are. We do have a link in the description box, and I'll put the QR code on this video. But if you really want to sit down and talk to us about our residency journey and your particular experience and perspective and where you are in the journey and have some questions, we'd love to sit down and talk to you. So with that, sound off in the comments. Where are you in your journey? How has your consulate experience been? If you've been to a consulate, especially as Jay said, in the last month or two, was it smooth sailing? Was it bumpy? You know, a lot of people we read every comment, but a lot of our Quench crew looks through the comments as well. So let this be kind of an opportunity to share your experience with your consulate and how it was. We'd love to hear from you. So with that, Quench crew, anything else?
Yeah, the only other thing I would add is if you get denied at one consulate, don't fear. You can apply at another one. It's not like they keep a database of you got rejected in Raleigh and now you can't go to Orlando. Just choose the next one more wisely than the first. So.
Right, and probably, I guess, in the process, maybe you put an order, like, okay, this is our first choice, this is our second choice, this is our third choice, so that you can, you know, while you have the paperwork and before another month passes and you have to get another statement, maybe you can hurry and get another appointment at option 2. So that is definitely a good point. So Quench crew, we're going to close out this video. We appreciate you being here. Don't forget to like, share, or hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our next Gen X Quench video. And with that, adios.
Adios.